Well, hey guys, I thought that I would talk about something a little bit different here for this video. I wanted to talk a little bit about an important principle in horsemanship and just kind of how I use it and go about making a nice horse with kind of the idea that I'm going to talk about in mind. So this is Hakima. I'm just going to check my angle a little bit. This is Hakima. She's at about year and 8 months, year and 9 months, something like that. And she's a little baby. But I have done maybe, I don't know, we could say a handful of training sessions with her. So I've had her for probably a little under a year now. And I've worked with her maybe, aside from halter breaking her, maybe 5 or 6 times total. So that would include handling, right? Maybe teaching her to disengage her hip, getting her good with her feet, etc. So not very many. But this horse was raised outside, born outside, bred outside, blah, blah, blah. Ranch horse, and she was pretty wild when we got her, obviously. She's not one of the horses that was handled from when she was born. So what I kind of wanted to talk about today was why this horse is so relaxed if she's not been around people a lot, right? Hasn't been handled by people, hasn't been exposed to them, blah, blah, blah. So, excuse me. The reason is because good horsemanship does not begin in a round pen. It honestly has very little to do with a round pen. It has, I'm just going to adjust my angle a little bit. Has very little to do with a round pen, has very little to do with an arena. It honestly has very little to do with wherever you believe, training should happen, right? It's not about having, your classroom and teaching them stuff and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you do use that for certain, certain dry work, some higher level stuff. But really 90% of making a good horse is how they are handled every day. So what I mean by that is when I come down every morning, and I feed and clean and, start working. The second I get down here, I am in game mode, right? So I have my game face on. I am in the mindset of the way these horses perceive me is going to be very critical to how they behave. So if I come down and I'm just like, oh, stop nuzzling me and, let everyone walk all over me, that's obviously not going to be conducive for when I go to get on their back. Horses challenge for hierarchy every day. It's not like if you're the boss one day, you're the boss for forever. Every single day you will be challenged, whether you know it or not. So when I come down here, you got to have your game face on. You don't have to make it intense, but you do need to be intentional with what you do. So this is going to kind of carry on and lead me to where I'm going with this conversation. So really where these horses become good is when I am down here cleaning a stall or cleaning a pen or a dry lot, because that is where I do a lot of my schooling for these young horses because of how I handle them. So I'll show you some of the things that I teach them when I'm just in a stall. And this, in my opinion, this principle, right? If I were to simplify it into a phrase or 2 phrases, I would say that it is about a horse understanding that wherever I put any form of pressure by touching you, energy, whatever, you move into open space. So that is not pressure and release. That is creating understanding, right? That is creating understanding through me opening doors for you, right? It's not me making something painful and forcing you through it. It's me setting the horse up so that they understand that the only possible choice is the one I'm looking for. So I'm not just going to say no, 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 and keep smacking them and doing whatever, right? what I want to do is look for situations where the horse can make the association for where that door is open, and understand that when I touch you here, you move there. So basically what this principle is wherever I touch you, you move into the opposing open space. I do this with horses the first second I handle them. And what it looks like is, just check my angle again so you guys can see it. What it looks like is wherever I touch this horse, whether it's on her chest, on her butt, on her rib cage, on her shoulder, wherever, she needs to understand that she can move into that open space and process that information, not react to that information. Being in a stall or a dry lot, when I'm cleaning, again, the way you handle these horses is 90% of what you do with them, right? If you think of it in a percentage standpoint, if the only time you're schooling your horse is 20 minutes in the round pen, what percentage of that is their life, right? So each day, let's say it's, once a week for these young horses, 20 minutes, right? That is such a minuscule part of the 7 days, 24 hours each day, right, for that week. So 20 minutes of that's kind of, you can't expect a ton to get done with that. Obviously when you're getting riding on these horses, when you're teaching them to lead, teaching them to pick up their feet, whatever, that's plenty, right? But you get them gentled and you get them thoughtful and processing information by what you do in here. So I'll show you why this principle is really conducive to teach in stalls, in dry lots, when you're cleaning, whatever, and anybody can do this. And this will help you make some really, really nice horses. Because essentially what I'm teaching them is that wherever I open doors, you move to. And that's obviously a principle that's going to translate to undersaddled very easily. So to begin, I'll show you guys my finger. I'm just going to touch her on her chest and ask her to back up, okay? So I'll show you what that would look like, okay? I'm gonna pet her. Pick her head up for a moment. I'm gonna let her stand right here, and I'm gonna do this. Okay, beautiful, right? She knows that there's a wall in front of her now without there physically being a wall, right? So again, make sense? That's how I choose to move horses when they're young, right? Usually I'll just walk at them and they'll back up. Then I'll start to introduce that touch on the chest. You gotta not teach them that me touching you somewhere makes you move into somewhere. You need to teach them that wherever there's open space, you move to. So it shouldn't matter if I've touched you in a place I've never touched you before. Look and search for that open space, right? So here, I'm going to touch her left hip. Oh, see, I was going to touch the left hip because she was naturally going to push into that door. But let me move her here, and we'll set up a different one. So again, finger on this right hip. And she shifts over. We can do, right, this would be your position for stepping the hind quarter over here. Plenty good. This is not developed by me touching these horses in a round pen saying move, 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 right? I do this occasionally when I'm in a stall and there's, let's say the horse is positioned like this and I need to get behind them. I will just touch her on that opposite side and create this open space, right, where I'm standing, and naturally a horse is going to want to move into that, right? So I use it as a practical tool, right? When you're cleaning the stall, you got to get everywhere. But more importantly, it is teaching them a principle that's going to translate to when you're riding, right? And that is a huge deal. If the first time I get on a horse, within those first 10, 20, 30 rides, if I can already start to build an understanding that, they to some degree know what my legs mean, and I have a little bit of a foundation to just build on from there, that's a huge head start, right? The fact that I may not need to teach a lot of this that they've already got a fundamental understanding that when there's open space, move into it. So then all I'm doing is kind of closing doors, and they see the door that's open, and they should just move through it. Yeah, it's kind of a game changer, truthfully, guys. When you start to develop such high level processing in horses, right? Because if you guys can tell, there's no reacting there. That horse is truly thinking about how to do that, and where that open space is, right? And when you get that, you're building not really a horse anymore. You're building a whole nother level of an animal, right? You're making an animal that has almost no flight response in them, to be honest. You're creating something that processes information so thoroughly and so repetitively that they're almost not a prey animal anymore. And that's a pretty cool thing, because again, when you go to ride them, if they even have a basic understanding of moving through open doors, right, and wherever I touch, you move the opposing direction, that's a big deal, right? That gives you a huge head start. So again, Hakima, year and 8 months, year and 9 months, something like that. And this is how all our horses behave. So it doesn't matter which one, we walk in a stall and mess with. Every horse should have some degree of understanding for this. And you don't develop this overnight, right? Every time you come in and clean, we clean every day, no matter what, rain or shine. And, when you come in, it's 1 second of a lesson, right? And it's practical to them, so they understand it. And it doesn't have to be in a classroom, doesn't have to be in the round pen or the arena. How you handle these horses, again, is such a huge deal in how they develop. Not just how you handle them in the round pen. When I come down, I need to have these principles in mind that I'm trying to teach these horses, and follow through with it, and make it a conducive environment for them to absorb this information and do well with it. So I don't just plow in stalls and start hitting them with rakes to move. I think about situations where they're standing, where I want to clean, what order, how to get there, all while considering how can I clean this area with moving this horse in the easiest way for them to understand that when I touch you somewhere or walk towards you somewhere, you move into that open door. And I try and set that up every time I move them. And over time, they just realize that wherever that open door is, when I put any form of pressure, they move through that open door. And hi, sweetheart. And you will get a really soft, really gentle, really fluid horse by doing that. So hope that makes sense, guys. A little bit of an abstract thought, but I wanted to share some of this more, I don't know if it's necessarily higher level, but some of these horsemanship ideas that I like to practice, because I think this is what makes really nice horses, obviously, right? Teaching the lead changes, teaching the departures, transitions, movements, right? All that stuff is part of it, but a big part of horsemanship is just in here. That's why if you're at a boarding facility or if you're keeping your horses at somebody else's place, that's okay, but just do your best to be out there as much as you can and be a big part of their development, not just in the round pen or the arena. So hope this stuff makes sense, guys. As always, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So thank you again to everyone for always tuning in, always watching our videos. We really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, please hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.